As the state begins to open back up, it's a time of reflection for the team at the Clarksburg Mission.
We know that we're going back to a new normal, but at least we're going to have a new normal here. We're going to have double down efforts to try to help folks deal with the things that cause them to become homeless, particularly addiction and mental health issues, and really focus on that intensely. That's what's come out of this.
For the past few months, the mission has made every effort to practice social distancing. They closed down their secondhand store to add more room for people to sleep. They installed a new shower, washer, and dryer in the store to make it a fully functional dorm space. They knocked down walls and installed doors, and they've been quarantining anyone who wants to come in for 14 days.
We've had to lock residents down here and keep them in, and that's been hard. We've lost about a third of our residents because they couldn't comply with that.
One of the biggest challenges of all of this, they say, is keeping the residents entertained with board games, chess tournaments, and other activities. The dining room has been cleared out and now acts as a recreational area and a place to hold their own in-house recovery meetings. Though much of the mission's work has been stalled due to things being shut down, Lou and Desi say it could be seen as a positive.
If they're really excited to get housed, they might overlook a struggle that they're having emotionally, mentally, even with addiction struggles, because they want so bad to do that. With that taken off the table, they're working on these other things that when that comes back on board, they're going to have a better chance. They're going to have more tools, they're going to have more stability, they'll have more time under their belt with stuff.
We feel like sometimes we can rush people into housing. The ability for them to get into housing with the resources that they have is substantial, and maybe they leave before they've worked on all their issues and there's not as much support out there in the community as they need, so they rush into housing, but they're ill-equipped to manage their housing. So it's given us a little more time to work on some of those underlying issues.
One resident, Joseph Cook, came into the mission just as the state was beginning to close.
When it first hit, I was homeless, didn't have nowhere to go, down on my luck. I've struggled with drugs all my life. So when Lou let me come in, he let me come in as the quarantine. Then from quarantine after that, he'd give me an opportunity to go into sober living that they're going to try and get going. And from there, it's just been great help. They've helped me get clothes. I didn't have no clothes. They've helped me get medications I need because I'm insulin dependent. They've just been a great help. Without them, it seems like I don't know where I've been. I might even been dead with this pandemic going on.
Older mission residents were taken to an off-site church gym in order to separate the more vulnerable residents from the general population. At the time of this interview, Lou said that those folks will be returning to the mission sometime soon.
And that was absolutely huge, because we were concerned that if COVID came in and broke out in this population, we're like a big petri dish. Not quite like a nursing home, but on the other hand, we have some nursing home aspects to it that it could spread, and the older folks who were more vulnerable, the older folks who had asthma and related conditions could really suffer and could potentially die from it. If we could get them isolated away from risk, and so this church was willing to give us their gym, and we moved our older residents out there.
The mission is expected to open its doors and accept more people into their programs. And while the emergency shelter will remain closed for now, Lou says that they will continue to intensify their programs and monitor the pandemic.
But we've been blessed not to have a COVID case in here all this time, and feel very fortunate that God's grace has been with us through all that.
Still to come in the Recovery During the Pandemic series, we'll take a look inside sober living homes and drug court Zoom meetings.
A lot of people weren't able to work during this time, and as a result, they isolated. Suddenly, they get a check for $1,200, or they get their unemployment check, a large amount of money combined with isolation, combined with boredom, or even extended stress. That can be a cocktail for relapse.